Hey, budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me with my friend Linda. We're in Loudon, New Hampshire, and we're going to do a tour of her beautiful yard. So let's go. So we're going to start this tour with Linda basically talking a little bit about herself, how long she's been gardening for, and what are some things that she does in her garden. So Linda, I'm going to have you chat a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm a New Hampshire native.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Dunbarton, not far from here.
Sure.
I consider myself as being a gardener lifelong because my grandparents and my parents, my mother particularly,
Mm-hmm.
had big vegetable gardens and also some flowers. And so the earliest picture that I think I have of me was when I was probably under two, just
Sure.
walking up from the field with a great big summer squash that was half
Oh,
as big as me. So,
oh my
uh,
goodness.
and so there, I mean, I could tell you some other little stories, but I really got into gardening big for myself when we bought our first home
Mm-hmm.
in Rochester area,
Yeah.
and started collecting perennials. I always had a big vegetable garden, but started getting interested in perennials
Uh-huh.
and some annuals, but mainly perennials. And
Yeah.
it's like I never saw a plant I didn't love, so I saw it and I needed it.
Yes,
I
yes.
never did much planning about anything. It's like, okay, buy the plants and then come and tuck them in somewhere. And
Yes.
so my gardens are not really planned. I had no, plan when we lived in Maine near the Augusta area for about 15 years, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when things really blossomed. I joined the Maine Iris Society and learned
Oh,
and
fun.
started hybridizing initially with Siberian Iris,
Mm-hmm.
and so had things lined out and
Oh,
keeping
yeah.
records. And then many of the people in the Iris Society had daylilies, and there were a couple that hybridized daylilies. So somewhere along the line, I switched over to collecting and hybridizing daylilies. I still have a lot of
Yes.
Iris Siberian, and so I've been collecting and hybridizing, um, collecting registered varieties
Sure.
and hybridizing my own for well over 20 years. I
Oh,
think
that's great.
since around 2000, and and it's turned into this.
Oh, it's blossomed. It's
and
beautiful.
so and when I got to the point when we moved here, we've been living here since 2004,
Uh-huh.
the spring of 2004. All the plants that I had to transfer and quickly get in the ground, I had people guesting my plants, in their own gardens, and
Oh
then
my
I
goodness.
would go and collect them. But the ones that I brought with me, I just had, I tilled, had a big area down by my potting shed, which
Mm-hmm.
wasn't there then, tilled and put things in one after the other, so close together.
Yes.
And well, that's become my style of gardening.
So you've been here about 20 years.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it is about 20. Yeah.
and were there any flowers here when you moved
Oh
here?
no, no, it was a cow pasture.
Really?
We bought the lot. There was a foundation built, and
Okay.
that was the only thing. And then we had to, So all of this that's planted is and most of the trees are planted by me.
Oh my goodness, they're beautiful. Your landscaping is just gorgeous. And when I met you a few years ago, it was through I think it was Craigslist or Facebook
Yeah.
Marketplace, and it was just to get some of your plants as part of your backyard nursery, which I know is like a small thing that you do on the side, just because you end up with, like a lot of us do, you end up with a lot of
Yeah.
flowers, right? And
Right.
But when I walk around my gardens and I look at some of the flowers, I think of you because I know
Oh,
I got
thank
them
you.
from your yard.
Well, I like that part of it. And in fact,
Yes.
one thing that I do, and it's mostly for relatives and friends, but there have
Mm-hmm.
been a couple other people.
Sure.
I've allowed them, although I haven't registered any of my own
Yes.
hybridized seedlings yet. That's what I'm going to be focusing on now that I'm
Sure.
fully retired, and this is
Yes.
kind of like what I do full time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I call it a hobby gone wild.
Yes. Yes.
uh,
Isn't that gardening?
yes. So anyway, now that I'm doing it full time,
Mm-hmm.
and people are coming and seeing things, I don't have names of my own seedlings because I haven't registered them. I let
Yes.
people walk around and pick one of my seedlings they really love and like name it after a relative who might be deceased or might be living,
Sure.
and then
Oh,
give them a piece of that so they can have
yeah. I
their own
love that.
special daylily. You know, I love sharing the beauty of plants and my love of plants with other people.
I think that's wonderful. That's a gift. And I've learned a lot from you. And I'm looking forward to us walking around your beautiful gardens. I figured today we're going to take a tour of your gardens, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the process of hybridizing because
Okay.
I don't know much about it. And I think it'd be great to talk a little bit about what that involves. And then we can even touch upon just how long you've had your small backyard nursery. You know, all the people that you've met. Because as you know, I have a small backyard nursery. I've only been doing it for a year, but my nursery is typically, you know, it's just set up an appointment and stop by and get the plants. Whereas when I've come to your house before, you usually have a date selected for your sales. So I figured we'd talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, actually, I do it both ways.
You do?
I do encourage people to stop by whenever they want to look and by appointment.
Sure.
You know, because I don't want them driving any distance and finding when I'm not home.
Yes.
But then because of the volume of plants that I would be having to deal with putting on the compost or figuring out what to do with,
Right.
I just said I'm going to have, and plus I invest a lot of money in buying new registered introductions.
Yes.
And so to recoup some of the cost of my hobby, I said I'm going to have some periodic plant sales. I figure it's like a yard sale.
Yes,
it's a plant
that's right.
yard sale.
That's right. And that's the same thing. I do the same thing. The reason I do my plant sales is it helps us keep our hobby alive.
Right.
You know, we can invest in new plants or yeah, new varieties that are out there. So, well, let's walk around your yard, and I'm going to follow you and have you maybe point out some of the plants that you want to talk about.
When we moved here and everything was a blank slate, I just started, like most people do, just making little borders. Anything that I could plant around, I did.
Sure.
And each year it grew. As I do edging, it grows bigger and bigger out. But
Yes.
anyway, so my primarily I have, I guess, daylilies. I have over 400 registered varieties.
Oh my goodness.
And probably between 1,000 and 2,000 of my own hybridized seedlings, and they're all one of a kind. Most of these clumps you will not find anywhere else in the garden.
Sure.
It's typical for people to come through and say, "Oh, I have that one, and I have that one," and I go, "Well, you don't have that exact one because each of these that I've hybridized are unique. They have their own unique genetics.
Okay.
They might look very similar.
Yes.
So,
yes.
But anyway, so these are all daylilies, and some of them are registered. Some of them are my own introductions.
Yeah.
I was going to just say to people that when I'm with the amount of daylilies I have and the hybridizing I do, I don't deadhead. Whereas somebody in their own garden would want to go around probably daily if they had a limited number and just pick off the dead blooms, because the dead blooms will take a couple days to drop and they don't look very good if someone has a really manicured garden.
Okay, I understand. That makes sense.
So these are daylilies.
Yes.
And okay, so this one I hybridized, and I really like it for the nice ruffling and the cream color, and the olive green throat is really pretty. I don't know how well you can see that. And what's interesting is that when I plant seeds, a pod will have any number of seeds in it, ranging from just a few good ones to, you know, over a dozen. And I plant the seeds from the same pod in a row. And these two, this plant here and those plant, are what are called siblings. They're from the same pod. So you see, you can get very different looking plants from the same cross that you make in hybridized.
Oh, they're beautiful. Very pretty colors.
Yes. So, and this is kind of nice because some people hybridize for what they call no eye, but with an edge. So this has got a darker edge, and it doesn't have an eye is a darker color on the inside than the petal color. So walking up here, I do have a lot of other things. I love sedum, and I like to tuck them in cracks of rocks. On the rock there, you can see.
Oh, it's so cute.
And other places.
Yes.
This is balloon flower, which is really interesting because it starts out with this little thing that looks like a balloon.
Oh, that's right.
And then it turns into, it starts to gain color, but it still is shaped like a balloon.
Yes.
And then it pops open into that star.
It looks really pretty amongst all your daylilies.
Yeah, I like that. And then I let a lot of wild things, like these regular brown-eyed Susans,
Sure.
pop up. And
Yes.
when they get too many of them, I'll pull them out.
Yeah.
Same thing with the white field daisies. I have, these are Asiatic lilies. Many people have problems with the red lily beetle.
Oh, yes.
Exfoliating the leaves, the larvae get on them, and I do have that problem. But I hand pick, and I take my hose and put it on like jet before it's blooming, and go up and down.
Okay.
To try to wash the larva off the plant.
That's a good way to manage the pests.
Yeah, and these are Japanese iris.
Oh,
Many
yes.
people are familiar with bearded iris. That's the big ones that have a little fuzzy. It's called a beard on the petals.
Sure.
These are beard in the beardless class, the same as Siberian iris. They don't have a beard, but Japanese iris are large and very beautiful. They need a lot of water, and I have some that are very stunted back there because I don't get around to water enough.
Sure.
And if we don't have a lot of rain, they don't do well. They also need a lot of fertilizing, and they need to be divided every 3 or 4 years, which I don't get to do. So that all,
yes.
Anyway,
it's beautiful. I love the color.
This is Veronica, and this self-sows easily. You can see it kind of scattered throughout.
Sure.
And it's purple. There's also pink and white. I have somewhere. My big orange oriental poppy has gone by.
Yes, I see the seed pods on there. Do you collect the seeds?
I don't collect the seeds, and I found that they don't. I have in the past tried to plant them, and they didn't have much success.
Sure.
And I kept on hoping that they would self-sow.
Yeah.
That's how I get a lot of my plants. I look around and see little seedlings that are self-sown.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, several years ago, I started noticing that they started to sow. And I found that with other plants too. It's really, it's amazing to me. It seems like a plant wants to get it sown. Well, some plants will sow no matter what,
right?
More than you want. But others, it takes them a while to settle in and get used to. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
It's something that I would like to understand better. But
yes, I'm in the same boat.
Suddenly, they like to start sowing themselves.
Right.
I don't do too well with roses, but I do have a couple of the fairy rose, the little small.
Yes, that one looks very happy there.
Yeah, and it's pretty. This is a Shasta daisy. It's called Crazy Daisy, which I like. And actually, I bought this one. This one was called Crazy Daisy too, and I bought them at different times. And one is a short one, and one's tall. So I don't know what's with that, but it is pretty. And I like its kind of wildness.
Yes. This
is a Carol Mackey Daphne.
Oh.
And I love it's a variegated one.
Sure.
And in the spring it has little tiny pink star-shaped flowers, and it's very fragrant.
Sure.
I love it. Over time though, it gets very kind of lanky and spreads out. And this one, it's already gone through one of those spreads, and it spread too far, so I just had to cut it all up and find a couple of pieces that had roots and root it again.
Yes, yes.
So it's on its second phase now.
Boy, and look at that delphinium.
Yeah, gone by now, but it was beautiful. And this was full. These are foxglove. I'm letting the seeds form on that because they self-sow.
Yes.
And those were beautiful when they were blooming.
What color were those?
They were white and kind of like a light pink.
Okay.
I do have some darker purple ones in a different garden area.
Sure. Very pretty.
But yeah, I love the deep blue of this.
It is.
Delphinium,
it's gorgeous.
Even though it's going by, but
and what's this plant over here that has like
that is in a pot. but it needs kind of semi-shade to semi-shade. Oh, golden Japanese spikenard.
Okay.
And it gets to be a shrub, you know, like
Yes.
4 or 5 feet tall, I think.
I've seen them and I think you're right. They do like the shade. And I see
Yeah.
you have a mum right next to it that's
Yeah, that's a
blooming.
perennial.
Okay, that's
Perennial
pretty.
mum, and I just bought that this spring, so I think it's blooming in a time when it wouldn't usually bloom.
Sure.
All of those in the back of the air around that wooden angel,
Yeah.
those are perennial mums, and they
Okay.
bloom in the winter. Yeah, not the winter, in the fall.
Sure.
One thing that I try to do, and I haven't done yet, is now would be probably the time to do it, is get around and pinch them back a little bit to promote bushiness and so they don't get too tall and lanky and flopping over.
Right, that's
when
right.
they do bloom.
And I
I
see you
have
have some, is it betony or statues?
betony, yes,
Okay.
betony, which I like.
I have some of that and I wondered where I got it from. I'm pretty sure I got that from you.
Maybe you did. And
Yeah.
I've got quite a bit of echinacea sprinkled in.
Yes.
This is which self sows. That is this is an ever blooming daylily.
Okay,
Called,
yes.
it was Happy Returns, I think was the name of it. And that it sowed by itself. It sowed that little orange seedling.
Oh,
So
really?
I've got a little orange.
Yes, it's
ever
beautiful.
Kind of cute. This is something new I got this spring, and it's a perennial geranium, and I didn't expect it to get that big. It was a nice low kind of mounded plant with purplish foliage, and I that's one thing I love, different kinds of foliage.
Yes.
Different textures, colors, because I think it just adds so much dimension to your.
It does. It really
garden.
does.
But anyway, so this has gotten tall, and I don't know if I'm going to keep it there or not, because it might eventually cover up the walkway.
Sure.
I have some areas in my garden that I need to get to. This is creeping phlox that got overgrown with weeds, and
yes.
I'm going to wait until the fall because I've tried transplanting and whatever this time of year, and it's just too hot for these plants.
That's right. That's right.
So I'll dig it all up. I probably should just cut it all down with scissors so it looks a little better. Originally, when I did this border along the walkway, I had 3 of these baby's breath.
Oh my goodness!
But they get so huge.
Yeah,
they would cover the whole walkway. I didn't expect that, but
it's so pretty, especially if you made like an arrangement and you want to add some baby's breath.
Yeah, and but I eventually got rid of it. It was just too much, taking up too much space, and I got rid of the other 2 that I had.
Sure.
But as we'll come to that, you'll see some of the happy surprises, which are fun.
I love happy surprises.
Yeah. So, and these are, I think it's a blue rug juniper. They were planted early on when we moved here, and they've grown and can continue to grow. So both the one at the front of the walkway and this one. Yeah. Just recently, I've chopped them all back. I may eventually take them out entirely because I'm not sure that they're adding too much to this picture. I've got a lot of sedum. I think this one's Autumn Joy. Yes. Here's a daylily that I hybridized. Beautiful. And it's so just so you know, I keep track of the cross when I do the hybridizing. Oh, that's a good idea. And this is a registered one by Lemon Ruby Eyes, and it's crossed with another cross of Jurassic Eye by Exotic Treasure. Okay. Crossed with something that I call Cole's Eye. Anyway, so everything is labeled, and it's, when I decide that something's going to be a more permanent plant in my garden, I have nicer copper types of labels that I use. But anyway, so this is one of my hybridized seedlings. Very pretty. And this is its sibling from, that's not hybridized, so I can put that off. From the same, again, they're from the same pod. You have everything very well organized. Thank you. Here's another kind of echinacea, and some kind of bug, I don't know what, is eating all the petals all the way around. Oh boy. I don't use chemicals. Yes, yeah. So if I see a pest problem, if I have time to get to it and like with those lily beetles
Yes.
and hand pick,
Yeah.
I'll do that or spray off with the hose.
Sure.
But this one's called the common name is sea thrift, but it's in the armeria
Yes.
family.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
I know it's hard to.
Edelweiss. Edelweiss. I've always wanted to try Edelweiss. It doesn't have a, it's not, it doesn't have a flower. This is it.
I've never seen that
But
plant before.
I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Very
Here's
pretty.
another form of sedum
Okay.
that's
Yes.
variegated that I like.
Yes.
And I also believe in trying to leave some of the wild native plants and that come up. So I always
Good. Yeah.
let some milkweed come up here and there. And if it gets, starts to get too overbearing, I'll
Mm-hmm.
pull some of them out. I've been looking for,
The monarch.
yeah, but I haven't really seen anything.
Caterpillars.
Something's eating that leaf, but
Mm-hmm.
but I did see a couple of caterpillars down in the other area a week or so ago.
This is a shade garden, it looks like.
Yes,
This is very pretty.
thank you. It's a lot of things in there. This is a Japanese painted fern.
Do you have a lot of luck with that? I have one small piece and it really doesn't do much.
Yeah, depending on the area,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really increase that much for me. But
Sure.
I had one that didn't like where it was, and it just stayed like two little tiny things for a
Yes.
long time.
That's.
I moved it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's doing much better here. I've got it in a
Yeah.
couple of other places.
Looks very happy.
Yeah,
Very
this one
pretty.
looks nice. It blooms in the spring. It's a dwarf crested iris, and it's beautiful little like blue purple
Yes,
flowers,
I
and it
did. I
forms
did
a
get some
nice
from
mat.
you. Yeah.
And of course, hosta. I kind of started getting a thing for hosta.
Yeah, I love hosta.
The leaf here. This is a bloodroot,
Oh
and it
yes.
has white. I think this might be a double one. It has white flowers in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I've got some wild trillium that I collected from the house that I grew up in Dunbarton. This one I'm working over. It got really overgrown with this. Oh, and here's a little ladybug
Oh,
with this pink, and there's one blooming down there. Queen of the Prairie.
very
It's pretty, but it's wild. And what I really need to do is take it all out of here
Mm-hmm.
and find a spot where I can have it be a specimen plant and keep it mowed around so it'll just kind of stay in one clump.
Sure.
I've seen people grow it that way. It looks really beautiful. A lot of lupin self-sows.
Yes.
And they were pretty this year.
It looks like you have the pink one or probably purple.
Oh well, I have pink, white, purple, dark pink, and I've got a purple and yellow one, and yellow.
Oh,
Yeah, so I've got a lot
nice.
of different colors.
Sure.
Red.
Uh-huh.
You never know what color is going to come from which,
That's
because
right.
they don't necessarily bloom
Right.
the same color.
Yes.
So anyway, these plants and pots here, I had daylilies in there at one point in time, but it was all overgrown. They were not getting enough sun
Uh-huh.
as things kind of matured. So
Yeah.
I pulled them out. Got to figure out whether which of these I might keep or plant somewhere else.
Yeah.
Everything ongoing. Oh, this is a plant that I absolutely love, and I wasn't able to grow it. I tried it, I think, when I first had, many years ago in Rochester, and I tried it up in Maine, and it didn't last. It was very short-lived, but this one has come back. I think this is the third year.
It's a flax?
It's flax or
Okay.
linum, and it blooms and blooms. It's kind of at the end of things now,
Yes.
but it stays up in that kind of V-shape, like a vase-shaped, and just it's hard to find something that really looks blue in the garden.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is one thing that does.
It is. It's so pretty.
Yeah. Another echinacea that I didn't expect to get this tall, but that's okay.
It's all right.
Things that when I come to things that are like this little daylily in here is too short for it to be in its location, but at least I've got short plants in front of it.
Oh, that's
It's called
gorgeous.
Christmas Greetings, and it really should be kind of at the front of the border, not in the middle. Have sunflowers that self-sow, but the woodchucks love them.
Oh,
so
yes.
if they find them, they destroy them.
Yes.
Right away. So here's
Oh, a happy
The
surprise.
baby's breath likes to self-sow.
Yes, yes.
And here it is in the middle of my, and I'm going to have to either just cut it back and kill it, or
Oh my goodness.
take up the bricks and try to pot
Right.
it up. So, I don't know what. Same thing with this little hosta that happily
Oh, look at
sewed
that.
itself in.
Yes.
And I don't have a hosta that looks, well, I have something that looks, that was a miniature hosta, but it didn't look like that.
You're right.
And
It's
so I don't really know where it came from. This is not a perennial. This is a house plant. It's a orchid cactus.
okay.
But
Yes.
where it likes the like part sun, and the blooms are just gorgeous.
Oh, it is. It's beautiful.
So this is the queen of the prairie.
Oh,
And
it's beautiful.
and
Very
you can
pretty.
imagine if there's a big clump of those that, you know, like
Yeah,
3 or
that's
4 feet
gorgeous.
round and all like that, it would be very striking.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Linda, I have to say, it's just everything is so gorgeous, so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You spend a lot of time in your yard, and it shows.
I sort of live out here in this time of year.
Yes.
Yeah, I love being outside.
Yeah.
Grew up in the country, so this is like, you know, heaven.
Right.
Heaven to me. This is an Annabelle hydrangea.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I love it, but
Yes.
again, I didn't expect that it was going to spread.
Right. It's clearly loving life right there.
Spreading into everything, and now I have to go around and dig up things that it's covering.
Oh my goodness.
Like, there's always changes happening in a garden.
Yes, that's right.
There's always something to do, something that needs to be moved. This is going to be a tall, it's an old-fashioned we call them tiger lilies.
Okay, yes.
It's in the Asiatic lily family that
Sure.
is not blooming yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I had it over here, and I didn't like it because I didn't think it was going to get that big again.
Yes.
And then I moved it, but see all these little black.
Yes.
This is how you know that what we used to call the tiger lily. Those are all seeds.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Those are all little seeds that are going to sow themselves in. And so even though I moved it, there were little, like you can see everywhere, there are these little things coming up.
Oh,
so
yes.
you always have a source of new plants that
just pop up here and there.
Yeah. So those purple flowers are catmint. They're
okay, a type of nepeta.
Yeah, nepeta. There are one called Six Hills Giant, which is kind of flattened down by we had those heavy rains, but it's it's quite tall.
Yes, yeah,
pretty,
very pretty. I see you have some yarrow.
Yeah, that's wild, and I let it. And this is the bane of my existence, but they are pretty, the little purple things.
Yes.
But I'm forever pulling out that vetch.
Yes.
Because it always has a habit of covering things
right
in a way that doesn't look pretty.
And I see you have a baptisia.
Yeah.
What color?
That's a kind of a cream colored one.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And back in there, you can see the raspberry colored bee balm.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh. I've got 2 types of blue spruce there. One's a weeping one, and the other one's I don't know the name of it, but
they add a lot of interest to your yard.
They do. But I found, and I have those 3 way over there along the berm, along the driveway, that we were going to have as a windbreak, and to keep the drifting, because the wind whips up here. Sure. In the wintertime. That was a dwarf blue. Those are 3 dwarf blue spruces down there. Yeah. I have found out that they are susceptible to some type of disease, and those 3 have it, and I'm hoping it doesn't spread over here.
Oh, hopefully not.
This is with the plant, the tree there in the background that looks like it's dead. Got really hit by the frost, and it's a tricolor beech, and usually it's got a beautiful maroon and pink blend of leaves. Yeah. I'm hoping that comes back. Oh, hopefully. The same thing happened to this big magnolia. This is a white magnolia. Oh my goodness. That came back, and I have a yellow one in the front that did. But so it was funny how that frost that we had really hit and killed certain things, and others. Right. Right beside it, it missed. Yeah. So, walking down here, this is oh gee, what? Oh boy. Cinquis. Yeah, cinquefoil. Yes. Yeah.
It's hard to remember the names of all these plants.
Oh, well, especially when you're when you have got an aging brain.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, I know it, I just can't tell you what it is right now.
Well, I think you're doing a great job.
And this is a Miss Kim lilac that's obviously past its bloom.
Yes.
Um,
You have so much full sun here that all these sun-loving plants are very happy.
yeah.
Whereas in my yard, I mostly have shade, so I just love it out here.
So this is kind of a shady area. This is a variegated form of red twig dogwood, and I've had this in several locations, and it hasn't performed well. It's doing the best here that it has in any place that I've put it.
Yeah. Very pretty.
See,
and the hosta all look happy here.
Hosta, yes, and I do have most of them. I have the varieties named. I'm using a lot of restraint because usually when I'm walking around the garden talking, I'm wanting to be weeding as I do it.
Oh my goodness!
Like, oh, here we go. Yeah. Well.
Oh boy.
I'll show you.
We are not noticing the weeds. We're noticing the beautiful flowers.
Okay.
And I see you have lady's mantle.
Lady's mantle, and that it sows in, and I have to keep digging that out. But I do have in another location when we get to it. I can show you dwarf variety of lady's mantle that I think is very cute.
Oh yes, I'd love to see that.
I love rocks, and I like to incorporate rocks in my garden.
Oh, it adds a nice element.
Yeah, I don't know where you'd like to go next.
Why don't we go down towards all your beautiful daylilies?
So this is the only raised bed I have. A friend's husband made that for me. Was it 2 years ago, I believe, or 3 years ago? And these are all seedlings that are blooming that I planted out and it takes like 2 to 3 years for once you plant a daylily seed and it starts to grow for it to bloom.
Okay, yes.
So these are all seedlings that are blooming for the first time this year.
Oh my goodness.
And that's one of the exciting things about hybridizing.
Yes.
In the morning you want to jump out into the garden and see what new is blooming that I've never before laid eyes on. And some of them are less than thrilling. Like for me, I mean, it's got some good qualities. It's got a lot of buds and a lot of branching on that one scape. But the flower itself is just ho-hum to me. Now, many people might say, "Oh, that's pretty," but
yes,
when I look at something like, oh, I don't know if I can pull this off so you can see it. No, I haven't hybridized for that one. When I look at something like that, can you see that one?
Yes.
As compared to that.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking about. But everybody has their own taste.
That's right.
As far as colors, and sometimes the plain ones can be just beautiful in their simplicity. So
yes.
So here's one. When I was telling you earlier how I like to give people the opportunity to pick a seedling of mine that they like and name it.
Yes.
My sister picked this one, my younger sister, and her nickname growing up was Pampy. Don't ask me where that came from. Somebody couldn't say Francis, so she named this Pampy Peach.
Oh, so cute!
Really, the ruffle. It's a nice short, because some daylilies, as you can see, are really tall.
That's right.
Like that one over there. Some are short. Some liatris or gay feather, which is about ready to pop open.
Yeah.
This is an interesting plant. It's called Selene armeria, and it's an annual that self-sows, and it's going by now. But these are the dead things. But it's sticky.
Oh, really?
If you feel it, it's like it sticks to my finger.
Right, right.
But it happily sows itself and maybe too profusely at times.
But it adds a nice pop of color.
Yeah, and it's easy to pull out when it starts to go by and you want the focus to be on the daylilies.
Sure.
This is Rose Campion. That
Yes.
again, that's the
So
biennial
striking. Mm-hmm.
that shows itself, and I when it goes somewhere that it's in the way, I pull it out.
Oh, right. Yes, but it's just beautiful there. I love the color.
Coming down here, this is what I called my production garden, because this is where I lined out all of my Siberian iris and my daylilies when we first moved.
Mm-hmm.
And since everything was, I never thought that I was going to be doing anything with, having, the open garden day like I have now. So
Yes.
things are planted too close together, and the aisles aren't really well marked out. I've tried to, in some areas, put down landscape fabric.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gradually. I'm thinking maybe I'll start getting some wood chip mulch and put down the easier.
Good
These are
idea.
some more of the Japanese iris that are just
Oh,
breathtaking.
they are. They're gorgeous.
This is a pink variety.
Yes.
And these two I just got recently.
Mm-hmm. Very pretty.
And that's a variety called Mulberry Halo.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And this one, again, I have to look at it,
Sure.
is a Pink Playmate.
Okay, yes.
And
Very pretty.
I know that one over there, the purple and white one, is over to your right, is Lion King.
Yes, yeah. And I love that they're blooming in July. They seem to bloom later.
That's the time, yeah. So the sequence of blooms in the iris family, I have dwarf and standard dwarf bearded iris.
Sure.
That bloom first. Mm-hmm. Then come the tall bearded, and then come the Siberians, and then come the Japanese. So it's kind of like a sequence.
Yes.
In this garden I have, this is called snake root or bugbane.
Okay, yes.
And see all these little, they're like little round balls. Yes. And they're gonna pop up into white fuzzy type of flowers. Oh. And the bees and pollinators just love it, and they scurry up and down. I have some videos of them.
That must be so fun.
Back and forth and wiggling all through them. Yeah, I'm gonna have some
globe thistle.
Globe thistle.
Oh yes,
blooming soon.
Pretty. I love the blue color on them.
Yeah, and I've got one in the pot there too, though. Some more that holly bush. I did have two varieties, like you're supposed to have, but one died. And this one is coming back. The deer ate it down to almost nothing. Oh no! Spring, but at least they pruned it back for me. Yes. There's a baptisia in there. This is the purple one that's the pods are forming. Okay. Yes. Yep. I had peonies that self-sow. Again, they didn't for years, did not do anything, and all of a sudden I started getting all these self-sown peonies. Really, so I've never had that. Planted them down, and the funny thing is, they're in where the original ones that I had bought and planted. Yes. Are now in mostly shade, because I had planted a small little tree that oh my goodness, that grew up. So here's a colorful assortment. Okay, so these are my nicer plant labels. Okay, yes. That they're copper, and I think they've got stainless steel, so they don't rust as much. And getting ready for my open garden day, I go around and write color-coded pricing. So I have that's smart. Plants that I sell for $8, $10, $12, and $15. And sure. Depending on the color, but I do write the price on the color things. That's a good idea. So I had the opportunity last year. There was another hybridizer. Her name is Claudia Conway, and she lived in many years in Canterbury and had a farm called Running Fox Farm, and she has registered some of her varieties, and and her husband moved to Florida last fall. So a friend of mine and I helped her out with digging and getting things ready to ship. She was sending them to different people to kind of keep for her, and then when she gets settled down there, you take them back. So I have a lot of her plants, some that I bought and some that she gifted to me. Oh. And it's very exciting seeing them. Plus, some of these are my newer ones that I bought. Yeah. This one is not a Conway introduction. This one's called Guardians of the Galaxy. But look
Oh,
at that.
so pretty. Very
Isn't that-
striking.
Yeah. A lot of people hybridize for what they call blue eyes, which aren't really true blue, but they're trying to get closer and closer to blue.
Yes.
So that's what would be considered a blue eye.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if I can find one that has teeth, but they also, people hybridize for different characteristics, like there's different type of edges. One of them is called shark's tooth. It looks actually very jaggedy, like the tooth, like a shark's tooth.
Interesting.
Some have ruffled gold edges.
Mhm.
A daylily that has a dark color, but the inside, what is called the eye zone area, is a lighter color. That's called a watermark.
Okay.
Whereas if that were a darker color,
Mhm.
very distinct darker color, like on this one over here,
Yeah.
that would be called an eye. So
I
lighter
see.
color is watermark, darker color is eye.
Okay. I'm learning a lot. I didn't
Yeah.
know this.
Another thing that people are trying to hybridize for is white daylilies. There is no true white, pure white daylily.
Uh-huh.
They're all approximations. They're near whites.
Yeah.
So some people are trying to get closer and closer to a true white color. I think that so this one is, as you can see, some have like a peachy tone in the background. Some have
Yes.
more of a pinky tone. Some
Mhm.
have more of a yellowy tone. This is a near white, but as you can see, this one has a gold edge, and it's a little tinge of pink, of more pinkish tinge around the outside of the petals.
Yes.
But this one is quite white. It's not as fancy as some of the others, but it's got
I
a
see
green
it.
throat, and it's
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
I can see it's pretty close.
yeah, and with a pretty olive green throat.
Mhm.
Here's one with an eye
Oh,
that
yeah.
is sort of a multicolored, but it is that would be considered like a blue eye or
Sure.
a
Yeah.
bluish eye. And we're heading down to this clump that is going to be blooming soon. It's called Culver's Root. This is what I call an architectural plant because it's tall. It's kind of a specimen plant, and I mean, it's not awe-inspiring as far as the bloom's not showy, but it's, pollinators love it,
Yes.
and I like the look of it, the structure of it.
I do too. I like the structure and the height. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Here I have 3 shrubs, all of which are still in their original pots because I didn't know where I was going to put them, so I said I'll just sink the pot. And so there's a red Weigela,
Mhm.
there's some type of viburnum, and there's a forsythia.
Oh boy.
Daylilies come in a lot of different forms,
Mhm.
and this is called a spider. When it has really long, skinny petals, I'm deadheading as we go along.
Sure.
Really long, skinny petals. That's called, and it has to have a ratio of length to width of at least 4 to 1 to be in this spider class.
Okay. Mhm.
I don't have that many spider, but I do have a few.
Sure. Yeah.
This is in Amsonia.
Yes.
This is I have 2 types of Amsonia. This is the real tall, bushy, and I'm not going to give you the Latin names, but so this is already bloomed, but you can see it has these like steel blue little tiny flowers. So
Oh,
again,
yes.
and interesting pods, seed pods.
Oh, yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah. So that's a nice, like, it looks like a shrub.
It does. It
And
does.
in the spring, it's got all those steel blue flowers, which are pretty.
Mhm.
I have a lot of, oh boy, now I'm going to, Heliopsis
Oh, yes.
that self-sows.
The fall sunflower.
Yes.
Pretty.
And these are kind of semi-double. So
Oh, yeah.
but I'm going to have to start digging some of them out because they get bigger and bigger, and they.
You have some red bee balm back
Oh
over
yes,
here.
I do have some red bee balm. Yeah.
Very pretty.
But I do have a couple of little squash plants, summer squash.
Oh, you do, yes.
And some tomatoes.
Yeah.
And I've got, coming around this way, decided to try this. For some reason, we had these 2 old tires, and I, heard that the daylilies love heat and warmth, so I decided that would be a good thing to try. And they do seem to thrive in the old tires.
Yeah, the tomatoes look wonderful. They even have blossoms on them.
Yeah.
It's taken us a while here in New Hampshire to get the nice heat, but we're finally getting it.
Oh, yes, we are. These are daylilies that were all from the same pod, but each one has a little bit of difference in it. These are the cultivated form of Rudbeckia.
Oh, yes.
They're called Gloriosa Daisy, and there are many colors that with the little black in the center.
Very pretty.
They really took over in my gardens a few years back, and last year I really had to dig a lot out because they were just making it impossible to walk through my garden. I have a couple of blueberry bushes in there, which are primarily for the birds, but every once in a while when I go past and I see a ripe one, I'll pop it in my mouth.
Sure.
I've got some strawberry plants that do the same thing. They kind of meander through my gardens.
Yes.
This daylily in here is a registered variety called Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. And this shows you the gold ruffled edge.
Yes.
It is so pretty.
Very, very pretty. Well, I'm glad we're touring your gardens while the daylilies are all in their glory.
I do have a nice big patch of rhubarb.
Oh, yes, you do.
And the yucca is about to bloom.
Oh, I like yucca.
I know some people think it's ugly, but this year, and the deer do like it, and they ate a lot down this year. But some years it looks better than others. This year's I think it's got more stalks than I've had before. Usually it's only like 2 or 3. But
yeah.
It's going to be beautiful in a week or so.
Nice white blossoms or cream color.
Yeah. And let's see, heading back through this area, and we can go up to the left.
Sure.
This is a shrub called dwarf fothergilla, and something happened to this a while ago. It was all in a nice little clump and staying nicely, and all of a sudden, like 3 years ago, the center all died out, and it sent shoots everywhere.
Oh.
Through all my daylilies that I had planted around it.
Oh, no.
A lesson to learn. It's really not good to plant daylilies around shrubs.
Yes.
But,
well,
that's what it is.
Right.
There's spirea, and I'm confused about that because I believe that that's on the list of not invasive non-natives, and I don't think you're supposed to sell them. It does sell so fairly readily. I just pull them up because I do have a plant dealer license, since I do sell plants out of my gardens, and and I have to agree that I wouldn't.
Oh, it is considered in New Hampshire.
Yeah, but I don't know this variety because I'm confused because I see them all over the place in nurseries. So,
yes, that's right.
So I've got to check and see if there's some type of different variety that I'm missing about this whole picture, because I don't understand how they could be selling them if they're on that list.
I agree.
State puts out. I had bluebirds nesting here this spring. It's always a battle between the bluebirds, which I love.
I do too.
My mother's favorite bird.
Yeah.
And those I think I don't know what type of, they're from Europe. They're, again, non-native sparrows that are very aggressive.
Yes.
And sometimes when I hate to say it, but when I see them trying to nest in there, I'll come and stuff the hole.
Right.
They can't get in. Yes. And wait 3 or 4 days until they give up and find another spot and then take it out.
Right. Now, Linda, over here is what's it called? My sister-in-law bought this from you.
Teasel.
Teasel, that's right.
Yeah, and that's in the herb family, and it's interesting. It's spiky, so it's prickly. So but these they're wonderful for cut flowers.
Yes.
Ow. but this gets bigger, and these curl up and around, and this gets to be about this big, and then starting somewhere in the middle, a ring of little purple flowers will start, and it will start in one area, and the ring kind of gradually works its way up to the top, and sometimes you have one working up to the top and one working down to the bottom.
Yes.
And what I like about this is that it catches the rain in these little cup-shaped areas. See if
That's right. Yes.
it's kind of fun.
Very interesting. It's a
Another
neat plant.
baptisia in there. That is the perennial. That is another form of perennial sunflower. It's I think it's helianthemum.
Okay.
And I was telling you about the strawberries.
Yes.
I have these are ever-bearing strawberries that are going through here. They've already gone by, I think.
Oh, that's fun.
I do have catnip in here that my cats love.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I have something called candy lily. It's Bellum canda chinensis is the actual name, and this grow and it branches out and has little tiny orange flowers, star-shaped with black speckles on it, and it will be like a spray of them. And then when the flowers go by, they turn into shiny black berries that stay on for winter interest.
Oh, very neat. And over here, Linda, I'm noticing you have a different type of Rebecca, is it?
Yeah, that's another Gloriosa daisy.
Oh,
and this was, I had originally bought the seed. It was a, I don't know if it's called, it's had an Irish name like Limerick or something, but because it's got the green center instead of brown.
Sure, yeah.
And that's self-sow, so.
Very pretty.
So this is going to be turtle's head when it blooms. I've got some astilbe. I've got various, we'll see more up there.
Yeah.
Monk's hood, which is a poisonous plant, but it's pretty with it looks like a hooded flower. So I know that you had said that you wanted to talk a little bit about the process of hybridizing.
Yes, that would be great.
And basically, it's a daylily has male and female parts, and you just and I'll show you on this plant here, which is a beauty.
Sure.
Called Hotlanta.
It is very pretty.
The big long one sticking up is the female part, and that's the pistil. And these are stamen and anthers, and they have the pollen on them. That's not a good piece of pollen. You can see that yellow, orangey, powdery thing is pollen. So basically, when I want to make a cross between two plants, I will think about, well, what is my goal? I might say, I really like this color.
Sure.
But the plant is fairly short, and it doesn't have as much branching as I would like. So I'm going to find another plant. So I'll take this is the pollen, which is the male, like the male part. And I'll see that's kind of short too. So I might say, okay, what if I had a taller plant like this with really nice branching, and instead of this salmony color, maybe have it be more red with a bigger eye. So I would take the pollen from one plant and I would dab it onto the female part of the other plant, the pistil.
Oh, okay.
It's as simple as that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's no difficult technique or anything. The only thing to remember is you should get out fairly early in the morning before the bees and other pollinators had a chance to self-pollinate, or the plants, the wind even will self-pollinate things.
Yeah.
But the most difficult part about hybridizing is the record keeping. So all of my plants most of them anyway, are labeled, or I either have a label on them or a garden map, so I know what the plant is, the name of it, or if it's one I hybridize, I know what the cross was that resulted in that plant. And I have these So I walk around the garden with this in my mouth, and I know what this plant is. In my hybridizing belt, I have these tags, and I know the name of that one is Hotlanta. I'd write Hotlanta. That's going to be the pollen parent. And I tie it around the base of the flower that I pollinated.
Okay.
And I keep that record. And then I wait and see if so the pollen travels down the pistil, down into the ovary, it's called. And at the base here, a pod will form with little seeds in it. And then as it matures, usually in the fall, the pods will start to get a little brownish color, maybe start to crack open a little bit. I know the seeds are ripe.
Okay.
And I take the pod, crack it open, let the seeds dry a couple of days, put them in little plastic baggies, and I would put the cross of the mother plant and the father plant, which in daylily world you call the pod parent and the pollen parent. I would write the cross of this one is the pod parent, because that's the one that's actually forming the pod, crossed with Hotlanta. And I leave those in the refrigerator over the winter, and then when I'm ready to plant them, either starting them in the house or planting them, when I'm able to set them directly outside. So, but it's all that record keeping that that it's important in the hybridizing world. And another good thing is daylilies are edible. So while I'm pollinating and I'm done with
Yes.
I'm done with it, I just eat it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think it's very healthy.
Yes.
I don't know what vitamins it has in it, but
No.
it's got a sweet little taste. So.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. I want to show you something here. This is I had showed you before Veronica. This is a pink Veronica, which is shorter variety that I think is cute.
Yeah, very pretty.
This in the front along edging is an old-fashioned, it's called clove pink. It's in the dianthus family.
Ah, yes.
This is a spring flower. It's a pasque flower, Pasque, and it has something to do with Easter, I think. And it's pretty star-shaped, but kind of cup-shaped purple flowers. But then after the flowers go by, it has this very interesting, almost reminds you of a dandelion pod.
Yes.
But it's bigger and more substantial, that covers the whole thing. And whenever we walk down this way in those pods, people are saying, "What is this?" A lot of tall garden phlox are blooming now. In here, and it's not getting ready, is the gooseneck loosestrife. Loosestrife is a fast spreader, but it doesn't seem to be rampant in here. And this will, it's shaped like a goose's neck when the flowers go sideways like that.
Sure, yes.
And it's pretty when it blooms white.
I love the pink tall phlox. Very pretty in here.
Yes, the only thing with tall phlox is it is susceptible to mildew.
Yes.
And have to be careful about that. This is a Stokes aster.
Oh, pretty. Very pretty.
Yeah, I like that. Kind of feathery.
Yes, yeah.
I think I don't know what the common name is. Some people call it lemon fluff, but it's a Centaurea macrocephala, it's called, which I love. These haven't bloomed yet.
Oh, beautiful.
But they'll all be these big. They almost look like a thistle type of flower.
They do,
but
yes.
they're not prickly at all.
No, I've never seen them. Very pretty.
This is a type of Japanese grass that I got last spring that I thought was very pretty.
Very pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
and I love the sound of it.
Yes, yes. Especially on a windy day. And
this is a ground cover. It's little blue flowers in the spring. Creeping Veronica I think it's in the Creeping Veronica family. Oh, here's something that's interesting. Curly onion, and it's in the allium family. And these are start out. It's almost like when you think of garlic, when the garlic stalks start to come up, and then they curl around.
Oh,
well,
yes.
these start curled and then they straighten up. And it'll have the little, they're kind of purplish, but they stay short, allium type of flowers. But they stay in almost, they grow themselves in little twisted round shapes. So these are really have kind of grown in together a little bit, but they're wonderful for edging, nice little round shapes. Have various types of sedum, and the yellow flowers up there are anthemus. Um,
I have some of those from you.
yeah,
Yeah, very pretty.
and they get pretty tall, and the clump gets bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, this is a variegated that I have variegated sedum that has a pink flower on it, but I like the pink, the pink blended in with the white and the green on the leaves.
Yeah.
And that was one of those. I made that in the garden club that I belonged to in Maine. We had a crafty thing. We made our own little. I think they were called hyper tufa
Mm-hmm.
pots, which I think is cute. All these things in pots along the way here are things that I've dug up, and either getting, and I always get a big load of compost,
Uh-huh.
and sometimes mixed with some loam too. And that's what I pot into when I'm potting things up, because it would be too expensive to use,
Yes, that's right. That's right.
like the Miracle Grow, the regular potting soil.
Yes.
I do, if I find sales on some of the potting soil, I might get that too, to mix in a little bit. But getting these are ready to either pot somewhere, plant somewhere else if I can figure out where I'm going to put them, or
Right.
go into my sale plants. And I had told you how I was chopping down all of that juniper
Yes.
thing, and I thought, well, some of them have little pieces of roots on them, so I'm going to just put them in pots and see if they grow or if they die.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But I always have, things kind of. I like to put the things that I'm just potted in the shade of a tree, so they can have a chance to establish,
Yeah.
in the heat of the summer. Um, this is actually like a biennial. It's Zabrina hollyhock.
Oh, right. Very pretty.
Yeah, it's usually the flowers are a little bit bigger than that, but daylilies. These I potted up last year, and I sink them in the ground. Usually, like around down by the garden bed in the front yard there. That's got some shrubs in it.
Mm-hmm.
I plant these. I sink them along the edges, and that helps me with edging, and it
Oh,
helps me to expand the garden a little bit.
yes.
So I,
That's smart.
as I'm digging the sod, and then I put the pot in there, it kind of helps me with the whole edging process.
Good idea.
These are all potted up for sale.
Okay. Yes.
I did, for the first time this year, get an account, a wholesale account with proven winners. So
Mm-hmm.
because I thought it would be good, especially for the spring sale, when I may not have as much potted up,
Yes.
to have some variety. So I got, some, but you have to buy the flats of 10.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a good idea to offer that.
yeah, so I've tried that for the first time this year.
Sure.
Up here we have another Asiatic lily,
Oh, beautiful.
and here's that dwarf lady's mantle that I was telling you about.
Oh,
It
yes.
stays much smaller, and I don't know that it's the leaf is very similar, but just mini variety.
It's really very dainty, very
It is,
pretty.
and it's good. Again, it's good for at front of the border edging.
Yes.
Another color of coral bells.
Yeah.
Um, these are plants that are potted up that I need to plant somewhere else, or decide if I'm going to sell.
Sure. So it's kind of like your own plant
Yeah.
nursery, your own.
And again, it's they're helping to edge. So when I pull those up, the grass is not growing in there, so that's a
Yes.
good thing. More types of astilbe and hosta.
Linda, do
And
you overwinter your begonias?
that one I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
And I haven't had really a lot of luck with some of the forms of begonias in the past.
Yeah.
Not the yellow ones. I bought those, and they're not really doing too well yet, but hopefully they'll fill out. It's been so hot.
I think they look beautiful. Very pretty.
But that one, I just put it down in my basement, and on a rare occasion, I would give it a little bit of water.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I just, it looked like it was all dead, of course, and I thought I would, just hope for the best and put it outside, and it just came back
Oh, that's
wonderfully.
great.
Another Japanese fern, and this is more of my holding area.
Oh, yes.
Holding areas.
Yes, I have a few of those.
Like, where am I going to put all these?
Well, it's hard to let go of plants.
They will walk around here. And this is funny because I never had gardens along the edge of the driveway like this, but one year, the way I actually have made new gardens is I have compost delivered, and I'll say, okay, dump the pile here. When the compost was done, I'd look at it and I'd go, wow, this is a really nice open space.
Yes.
With really rich soil.
Right. Might as well plant in there.
Might as well plant. So I call them the first compost bed, the second compost bed. I'm working my way up, from down there up.
Yeah.
This was a compost pile. And then every year I have them deliver it further down.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
So in here we've got evening primrose, which is a fast spreader, but it's got such a beautiful, bright, cheerful yellow color, and it's easy to pull out. So it's okay. This is some dwarf variety of bee balm, which is really dwarf, and I love it. It's already bloomed, but look what it looks like after it blooms.
It is. It's beautiful,
isn't it? And I have the pink variety. Oh, here's something I should show. My husband takes care of the lawn, and he likes to try to get as close as he can.
Oh my goodness, God bless him. He tries,
but it's okay. And there's another little the same type of dwarf variety of bee balm that's
very pretty. Yeah.
This is sea holly.
Oh,
which is like
I love sea holly. It's so pretty.
Yeah, the steel blue color is nice.
Yeah.
And spreading through there are more of these candy lilies, vellum canda. They're going to be pretty when they're blooming.
Yes.
I think it's time to get rid of a lot of those selene that are now gone to seed.
Oh boy.
I think I'll collect some seed. This is a deutzia, and this was hit really bad by the frost we had and didn't really bloom, so, and a lot of the ends are dead. This is in the viburnum, but it was called a blue muffin of whatever.
Oh, okay. Yes.
They grow in the wild too, but anyway.
That's huge, Linda.
Yeah, and these are going to turn into blue berries the birds love. This is colquitzia.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And it was covered with pink. It looked like a pink fountain.
It's not a beauty bush.
Yes. That's a common name.
Okay.
Common name's beauty bush.
Okay. My mother-in-law had one of those.
Yeah.
They're so pretty.
More daylilies lined out.
Oh boy.
And over here is mallow. And I've got a woodchuck under that shed and another woodchuck under the other shed.
Oh, no.
This woodchuck loves the mallow, and he did. But I find it interesting because he ate all the bottom leaves when it was small, but then I think they then leave it alone for a while so it can grow back.
Oh,
so I think
how nice of them.
I think they're gardeners in their own right.
Yes,
they have a way that they kind of tend the plants to make sure they don't, destroy their grocery store. Yeah, so all the colors are blooming. This is primarily daylilies here.
Okay, beautiful.
That in that's an old-fashioned crabapple tree, and this is clethra.
Okay, yeah.
Which it blooms later and is really sweet smelling. I always make the mistake of wanting to put shrubs somewhere that I have sun-loving plants, and then they grow big and they start to spread. But it would be, but they're pretty. It's pretty to have a variety of things.
It is.
And this is a beach rose that, again, I put put a piece down there just to until I could figure out where I wanted, because it's overgrown the other. There's an azalea and there's a flowering almond shrub there. It's overgrown now. I've seen it when, like, going to York Beach, how they cut them down. So I think I'm going to just cut the whole thing down, and the little runners that come out, sometimes I pot those up to sell.
Yes.
But I cut that back because it's really gotten overgrown there. Always something to do in a garden.
That's it. That's right.
Fun. Now is the hybridizing time, so in the morning, like until middle of the day, I'm usually running around and taking pictures to document the varieties and the names and that sort of thing.
Sure. Which, if it's okay, Linda, I'd like to, I know on your Facebook page you have some pictures of some of your plants. If I can put those on the screen as well.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and it's Sunny Hill Gardens on Facebook. And I don't really, I don't post too much. It's mainly just here's what's blooming now.
Yes, yes.
It's not like I'm doing any how-tos or anything like that there, but it's.
I enjoy looking at your posts.
Yeah, just pictures. Yeah, this is a Japanese maple that is not the red form. I don't know the. I've got it somewhere written down, but it's like a fringe leaf type.
Okay, yes.
And I like the new leaves have kind of reddish on the outside and yellow in the center.
Very pretty.
More types of sedum.
Yeah.
I do have some bearded iris that have already bloomed. Salvia, this kind of gone by.
Yeah.
And this is what is this? The white
candy tuft.
Candy tuft, yes. I'm glad I have you with me.
Yes, we have each other to help with the plants.
Yeah. So these are lettuce leaf poppy, Papaver somniferum, I think is the Latin name for them. And they form pods, and they will self-sow readily. They do come in double forms and in different colors. And I originally had a lot of different colors and different forms, but these they eventually died out for whatever reason. And most of the ones I have now are this single variety, but I think I'm going to get some seeds and actually sprinkle some of the other ones, because they were really impressive, the double forms and some of the brighter colors. But these are very delicate, and
they're very pretty.
Yeah, and they're an annual.
I love that it's middle of July and they're blooming this time of year.
Yeah,
that's nice.
I usually have some volunteer squash types of plants that I don't know what they're going to be until they start. So this kind of put itself there.
Nice.
And I let some of the Queen Anne's lace grow. I haven't weeded this one very much, but you know what? I've been going. The garden club, the Loudon Gardeners Club, has speakers usually in the winter, early spring months, and we had them from the UNH Extension, a speakers bureau, and on pollinating, making a pollinator garden, and native plants and incorporating. And the message there was to leave some areas wild. So now I can give a reason. It's not that I just didn't get, but not only is it that I didn't have a chance to get it weeded, but I'm leaving wild areas for the pollinators.
Okay, I think that I'm going to say the same thing. I love that that's what we're doing. We have certain areas of our yard. We're purposely leaving them wild. We don't need to weed them.
But I do purposely leave some of the native plants for that purpose.
Sure, yes.
But the grasses must have some function.
Oh, definitely. They should, for sure.
Some of the grasses that I see growing, I would let clumps of them grow, like Timothy. I love Timothy.
Yes, yeah.
Just for the way it reminds me of my childhood.
Yeah.
And up in here, tucked away, is a prickly pear cactus it has one. It's kind of covered with weeds, but this delicate yellow flower, prickly pear cactus, and this guy is an artichoke that I've growing for the first time this year, to see that, because it but it gets some type of a kind of impressive stalk that comes up with a big blossom.
Like
Really,
I think
almost like,
purple color, right?
yeah,
Or,
purple is. It almost looks like it's tropical or something.
yes.
So I've seen them bloom, but I've never tried one.
Well, if it does bloom, Linda, definitely put a picture on your Facebook page.
Yeah,
I'd
I
love to
will.
see that.
So
we're back where we started.
yes, we are full circle.
Well, we've had quite the morning. Thank you
We
so
have.
much.
It was fun to have you come and do this. I've never done anything like this.
My pleasure. And I learned so much from you today, and really enjoyed your gardens. You've worked so hard. And I think anyone watching this video will really have enjoyed watching your gardens as well. So thank you for sharing.
Great. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed it. And yes, I do really enjoy sharing my gardens with people, and yeah, just the beauty of it all.
Well, thank you. And hopefully you enjoyed this video and that you're enjoying your own gardens. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.
Yes. Make it a great day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.